I'm Lisa, and today we're looking at auto-resizing text boxes in After Effects. Now, this is going to look at a lot of expressions, but hopefully I'm going to be able to guide you through the process to create something that works really nicely and adapts to your text. So first, let's look at what an example could be of this. So I have created lower thirds, and these lower thirds animate up. And we can also go into the different text boxes, write whatever we want, and the text box behind it easily adapts. We've also done it so if we don't want 3 lines, we can take one away and it automatically clicks down. And if we add it back in, it pops back up again, and the animation is still on there. So let's look how I did this. So first off, let's create a new composition and create some text. John Smith, and this can go anywhere at the moment. Then we need to create a text box that goes behind it. So drag that layer underneath. Doesn't matter where this goes at the moment, mine just automatically clicks the middle. Now, as we can see in the rectangle sizes, we actually have parameters for the size, but in the text box we don't have any size options. So to do this, we'll create an expression. So or click on the stopwatch and the variable a equals, and then we'll pick width to the text layer that we're wanting and a semicolon after. Then we need to make some parameters, so we'll need something that looks at the width of that box and the height of that box. So what we need to do for this is to create w equals a, which is the first parameter, dot sourceRectAtTime dot width for the width part of it and semicolon. And then the same again for the height. So h, you can call these whatever you like, a.sourceRectAtTime dot height and semicolon. Now, as the size has 2 properties, we need to make sure we have something with 2 properties. So in square brackets, do w, h. Now this looks at the parameters we've just set out. So looking at the A, which refers to the layer above, and then the W is then looking at the layer above's width at that particular time, and the layer above's height at that particular time. And then these 2 values, W and H, refer to these values here. So then let's just test this out. As you can see, something's happening a little strange with this box. So we need to create an expression that then make sure that the positionings are the same. So what we need to do is to create a position expression, which is then linked to the size, but then it's divided by 2. So now you can see the box looks the same, so we just need to link them up and so move those across. And now when we start typing, you can see that that actually works with whatever you're typing in there. So that's great. So what I need to do to make sure the shape layer moves with the text layer, so we'll just pick whip that to the text layer. And now that means whenever you move the text around, the box will go with it. And even when you start typing something else, it will stay in the same place. So something I'd like to do now is just to add a bit of a depth on it. You can add it with the stroke, but it's something that I quite like to have in the drop-down boxes and change easily. So what we can do is you can add an offset path, and this is set to 10, so you can like increase, decrease this however you want, so something that works for you. And so this is working really nicely. I think what we can do now is we can duplicate for another line. So I would move that down. So what I'm going to do is just to reduce the size down. And you can see that the text box doesn't go with it. So we just need to make sure that we adjust this expression here. So we just need to make sure this one parameter, this one variable, is linked to John Smith too. And then you just need to make sure the boxes are on top of each other so we can use a snapping. Now if we move that up, just so it's joining up together, perfect. And then again, as we can see, we can play with that, make sure that's working right, which is. I'm just going to change the color so that we can see that there's a difference in it. I'm going to make it a greeny color. Right now I'm going to do another version of this and bring it down. We're going to have to make sure that we change the expression again so that it links to the correct text that we're typing in. There we go, and as we're typing it in, it changes. So now what I want to do is to create a new null. And I'm going to link all of these to the null, so it means we can move them all around. And this will also come in handy later when we add Ifelse expression. Right, so now as I can see, zooming out a little bit, I can see that the border around the two green ones feels a little big. So what I might do is I might just go in there and just reduce down that offset and just change the positionings of that a little bit. Right, now what I want to do is to look at what happens if we don't have anything to go in the third line. Basically, I want to switch it on and off so that the opacity is 0. So what I'll do for this is I will to go into the shape layer and I find the opacity expression for this and alt click on the stopwatch to create an expression. Now I want to make a variable, so the variable is the text above it, so the one that's linked to it basically. So for that we want text equals and pick whip. You can pick whip to the source text. We need .text .source text and then semicolon. So then for the if else part of it, we need to type if open brackets text, then 2 equal signs, then open apostrophe. I put a space in this, you don't have to, and then close apostrophe, bracket 0, semicolon, else 100, semicolon. So this is saying that if there's nothing in there, we want it to be 0 opacity, 0% opacity, and if there's something in there, we want it to be 100% opacity. So let's see if this works. So let's change this, just put a space in, and it disappears. So then what else we need to do is to then think about how the position might work. At the moment, the position stays the same, but we might want it to move down if there's nothing on that third line. So I'm going to bring the third line back up and then just draw a ruler so it lines up nicely. I'm going to look at the position that the null is in and take a note of that. So it's 940,666, and then we move it down and then we can see, let's get this right, so it's 940,730. So we're going to basically have an if else box similar to the one that we've done for the opacity, but instead we'll have it in the position, and we'll do a position saying if there's nothing in the text, we'll have it at one position, and if there is something in the text, we'll have it another position. So in position keyframe, or click, and we can basically copy most of this. So copy that text part. Now, if text equals nothing, then we want it in square brackets. We need those two values. So 940,666, semicolon, and otherwise, if there is something in it, we want it to be 940,730. I'll take it off here just to see what it looks like. And now I can see that I've actually put those positions in the wrong way around, so I need to swap those numbers over. As we start writing in here, you can see it drops down, so I've got that the wrong way around. So I just need to change those values over. So instead of 666, we put 730. Instead of 730, we put 666. Now you can see as we test that, we put nothing in there, and then it drops down just as we want it to, and it pops back up. So now we need to look at how we can animate this. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to parent the two other text layers to John Smith. Because John Smith is parented to the null, it'll still have all the properties of the expression. And then I'm going to do a position movement on all three of those layers. It's just so that it'll get a nice smooth movement. We'll do position on John first because they're all going to follow anyway. So point where it finishes and then drag it to the front. And then the reason I've put some keyframes on the other ones is just that when it's further out, I'm going to spread them out a little bit, and this means that when it comes into land, even though it finishes at the same time, they're still going to have a little bit more movement there. Now I'll put some curves onto that by pressing F9 and then dragging that across so it comes in nice and smoothly. Just like that. Good. Now let's just see what this might look like if I get rid of this and how the animation might look. And that's exactly what we want it to do. So have a play around with this, and if you like it, subscribe, and if you want to see anything else, then let us know in the comments box.